Okay class, today we're going to look at preparing a blank for turning. So we have here a piece of timber, 45 by 45 or so, whatever it is. We need to make sure that we can take these corners off, because when we put this in the lathe we don't want these corners, we want to sort of make it more round or rounded so that these corners don't hit the tools as it's spinning. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to find the centres of the timber as well, which helps us to set it up in the lathe. So put your wood in the vise, take your steel rule or a straight edge, anything at all, and your pencil. So what you actually do is you draw corner to corner. Same round this way, corner to corner. Now that finds the centre of the blank. Okay? Now do that on both ends. So you do your centre to centre. There's a big knot at this end, so we need to watch out for that. That's going to be a hard piece of timber, but we just watch out for that and we should be okay. So again, corner to corner, we've now got our centre point. Now, take our compasses, set of compasses, set it up with your pencil. That's going to allow us to draw the biggest circle that we need. Now, for turning this wood, we're going to make it as big as we can. So we take the pencil out to near the edge and then set up your compass right on that centre point and draw a circle. Okay, so you can see 90% of that's there, that's fine. Do the same at the other end. So get a compass, set of compasses. This is just to give us a guide. This is not critical, it's not an exact science. Okay, so just make sure you get a guideline of how much wood we can leave on and take off. Okay. Now, what we can see now is, right, so these corners can come off. So if you imagine we're going to come across that corner and we can take that off. So we're making a kind of hexagon shape or an octagon shape, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an octagon shape. We're going to take these corners off. Okay. Now you can see there, if you mark that, it's about, in this case, about 5 or 6 mil. So we can take our marking gauge and we can set that to that size. So set our marking gauge to that, and then we're going to gauge all the way down the wood. Okay. Give us a parallel line to the edge, both edges in this case. Okay. So we've got a nice straight line there. I can line it in with the pencil to let you see. Okay, and turn it in the same mark that I've put there, gauge that into that groove that I run with the marking gauge, and you can see that corner. Okay, so you would then do that with the 4 other corners and get it ready for planing. So I've taken a couple of minutes to make sure I've marked all my edges. You can see that, okay? Now you're going to put this in the vise. Now put it in the vise at a slight angle, so you're doing corner to corner, okay? And then you're going to take your plane, nice sharp, smoothing plane, and you're going to plane off these corners down to the line. So just make sure it's nice and tight in the vise. Plane off the corner. So approximately to those lines there, okay? So what we've done is we've taken one of the corners off. We're going to do the same for the other 3. you can see I've taken these 4 corners off, which just helps in the turning. Okay? Okay, so we've taken off these corners roughly with a plane, okay? Just to help smooth it out a wee bit. What we need to do now is prepare the centre so that it can go on the lathe. Now one end, all we have to simply do is get your bradawl and create a bit of a hole. So just put your bradawl in, give it a wiggle. That's going to create a hole there. Now that's for the tail stock, which helps to hold the end up, okay? The other end, slightly more complicated. What we need to do is cut a wee V in it. So that's to hold the drive centre, the one where the power comes. So it's either called a drive centre or a fork centre. But it's quite simple. All we do is take a tenon saw and we cut a V notch, okay? First of all, it's always a good idea just to take your bradawl and make a hole in there as well. And that helps to centre up the centre. So give that a wee, make that wee hole there. And then taking your tenon saw, cut a V notch. So one side of the line, other side of the centre line. And just cut a V out of that. Okay? Now that'll allow the drive centre to come in. And you can still get your hole there, which helps to line it up. Okay? So that's the blank really prepared. So what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to put it on the lathe. Okay class, so we've cut the V here and this is going into the live centre. So if you remember, we put a wee pinhole and that just slots into the wee sharp point there. You can feel that get in there. And then you bring up your tailstock and that again slots in. Okay, so make sure your tailstock is locked in place. And then you're going to tighten it using this wheel here to make sure the wood is nice and solid. So you just gently tighten that while pulling the wood, making sure it's nice and tight. So that's not going to come out. Lock off your tailstock, that's you ready. Now, bring in your tool rest. Tool rest should be set just below centre. And your teacher will probably help you with this, get you set up with this. So the tool rest there, just below centre, and we bring it in until it's parallel with our blank and as close as we can get it without actually hitting. So we can spin the wood by hand to make sure that it's not actually going to hit anything. Okay, lock that off, and what you're going to do is you're going to get your teacher to check that for you before you turn it on. And your teacher will show you how then to present your tools. So for talking sake, say we use the gouge. Presented here, machine comes on and you're going to go work that along carefully. This is your locking finger, keep that there, that's your guide, and lock it with your thumb. And you would slide along here nice and careful, taking off the excess wood until you get it to the full circle that you require. Okay?